Okay, hello. It is Friday, 11/12. A little bit of a late start today. Let's talk about Project One. So I'm looking at our course content. Oh, and as a review, if you're having trouble finding the recordings, like you want to watch an old recording, particularly this class, I think you'll be watching over and over again. You go to Blackboard Collaborate here. There are three little lines right here, and you click on that, and there is the recording tab right there. And then you can see all the previous classes from other professors. Mine is here for Thursday. You're going to look for your Friday lab. If you want to watch a different section and see if what color shirts I have on different days, you can do that. If you want to go to another professor's section and watch them and then lament at choosing Dave Hahn's class, you can do that too. Let's talk about the project. Now, I have inherited this class from another professor, so I'm updating things when possible. So if you don't see, let me go into student view here. So you'll probably just see limited amounts of work available. I'm updating these files as we go along. So week to week, you'll see a new file. I've already put the lecture information for next week, some little videos that Mrs. Benitez made, and then the quiz will be available on Sunday. All right, let's talk about, I quit drinking caffeine 11 years ago when my wife got pregnant and she couldn't drink coffee anymore, so I had to stop drinking coffee. And it was like 2 weeks, the biggest headache of my life, so I thought I'd never go back. This morning, my throat was real scratchy, so I made myself some tea. I don't think this is decaffeinated, because when I drink caffeine, I get more mellow, which is not good for a Friday morning class. All right, here we go. Come on, Dave, wake up. Lab folder, project. Project One. There will be 4 artboards on Project One. 3 artboards will have a front and back garment. The front and back flat. The first one is in black and white. The second 2 are in color. The last one has a pattern. You're basically just going to trace one flat on the front, trace one flat on the back. You'll copy and paste it 3 times, and you'll change the fills to add color, and change the last fill to add a pattern. And then you'll also have a color story. And next week I'll show you how to grab 5 colors from an inspirational image. You're going to add your own creative color name. You're not going to say pink or brown or gray. I need something a little bit more imaginative. So everything that I mentioned here for Project One, this is like a point. If you don't do any of these things that I mentioned, you'll lose points. So we do need a title here. We do need a theme here. The theme has to be at least a year. So nothing from 2021 definitely, and nothing from spring summer 2022, because fashion is always looking forward. You can have any title you want. Just don't type in spring has sprung, because I will dive headfirst into the nearest trash can if that happens. If you put spring has sprung here, or macaroons in Paris, one of those two, I'm just I'm trash. So
Are you sharing your screen?
Am I not sharing my screen? Dang it.
No.
Fantastic. I have been, okay, so here, course content for the course. You're wondering where the recordings are. You click on Collaborate Ultra. They're right here, these 3 little lines here, and you can see recordings, and you can see all the past recordings of all the different professors, including myself. We are the Friday class. Today's lecture you'll probably be watching over and over again because it's a lot of information. Over here in the lab folder is a project folder. Also in the lab folder right here, underneath it we have a little link. You can click on this for how to convert your Illustrator file to a PDF step by step. If I run out of time at the end of class, here's the video for that. I have it also in our lab folder under our assignment here. Here's another link to the video. And also, this is the area where you're going to upload our 2 Illustrator files today. You click on that. It says here, these are the 2 files you need to upload, the class work that we do in class today. Or, I mean, I'm going to demonstrate this in class. And then you'll also have a homework assignment. And you're going to save those both as a PDF. After, of course, you save your Illustrator master files in your required folder. I mean, in your, wherever your folder is. And then here's another link to the video in case you still can't find the video. I've got it in 3 places. And I'll get to that. Let's talk about the project first. Lab folder, project. It says you're going to use Illustrator to create a top, bottom, and a one-piece, including the front and back of each flat. These flats will be based on garments that you own. And you'll notice that one of the artboards has the images of your garments. So for your homework today will not only be those 2 Illustrator files, the one we do in class and the homework, but you're going to have to find pictures. You're going to have to go to your closet and find clothing, a top, a bottom, and a one-piece. And the clothing should have visible details like stitches. It should have some darts. I don't want to see a seamless skirt. I don't want you to draw like a trapezoid and then copy and paste that and then say, I'm done. Look, it looks exactly like my clothing. You need to find something a little bit more challenging than a seamless tube top or a seamless skirt or a bikini, no swimwear. I have students that will draw 2 triangles with a line in it and then think they're done with this assignment. No swimwear, nothing too simple. So here's an example here. You look at other people's work, and we have the black. You're going to draw like a front, with some visible stitches here. There should be stitching here. She lost this detail. Front and back. Notice the back neckline here matches this neckline. Once you draw this, you'll just copy and paste it 3 times, and you'll give the fills here of 2 different colors from your color story and 1 pattern from your color story as well. I'll show you next week how to find your color story from an inspirational image. Here are your names. We're going to create interesting names, not red, green, or blue. I need to have the Pantone codes, and I'll show you how to do that next week, as well as make patterns next week. So this example is available in Blackboard. You can download this file and look at other people's examples. This student forgot to put her pictures of her back of her clothing. You want to find your clothing. You want to lay it down as flat as you can. You're gonna go find a friend. If you don't have a friend, go make a friend, and they're gonna hold the chair for you while you stand on a chair or on your desk or something, and then you're gonna take a picture of your clothing straight down. Then you're going to bring your pictures into an Illustrator file, and I'll walk you through that in about 35 minutes. And you can look through this, right? We want their titles to be something interesting. Don't put spring has sprung. The season has to be, the earliest you can have it is 2022 winter, fall, winter. Nothing earlier than that, because fashion is always forward. The whole idea of this exercise is like, this is like a pitch or proposal or a design goal for your team, and then you want to make it onto the runway by fall winter 2022, which is, it's not very far away. That's a tight deadline. If you want more time, you go to 2023 spring summer is fine. Notice the interior details are a darker color version of the exterior color. I'll go through all this in lecture on Monday. Just have your pictures ready and on your artboard, just like this, and I'll walk you through that in a second. All right, so that's the project here. Let's go to today's lecture on Illustrator. I mean, today's lab activity, right? Make sure for last week that your Spark and your presentation are uploaded onto Blackboard. If you just put it onto Slack and not on Blackboard, you're not going to get credit for that. It's still open. Go ahead and stick it up there if you haven't done it yet. I haven't graded it yet, so don't worry about it being late. Let's see. So we're going to be doing an in-class assignment, this one right here, with the pen tool, and I'm going to show you how to use Illustrator. I'll show you how to use the pen tool. And after we do that, your take-home assignment is to grab a photo of, you're going to find your favorite brand, and you're going to find like a belt, a hat, a pair of glasses, a purse, shoe. I don't think it's one brand, is it? It's just an online store. And then you're going to bring those photos onto your artboard, and you'll reduce the opacity, you'll lock those photos down, and you'll trace them. And I'll show you how to do all that in about 45 minutes. All right, so without any further ado, at this point, I would open up the lab for any questions about anything before I start. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? And I'll take a drink of my non-decaffeinated tea.
Professor Hahn.
Mm-hmm.
It's Rachel. I had trouble earlier logging into this specific Blackboard meeting, and I came in
Okay.
just a little late. I emailed you and like separately messaged you, and I just wanted to let you know that I was here.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Fine. You don't need to.
Okay, sorry. I was just worried.
I was talking about Illustrator or Spark or Blackboard or something like, or the syllabus. Yeah, if you are, I mean, I understand everybody. No, one assignment, Temi, we're doing right now, and the other one is your take home. Collaborate Ultra takes attendance for me, so it has like a little program, and it just calculates how much time you spend in front of how much time you spend logged in, and whether or not you were active on your computer. It tells me those two bits of information. And so like if you just turn your computer on and then walk away, sometimes it'll say the student is inactive, and then it may mark you absent. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how Collaborate attendance works, but it prints me out a list. I mean, I'll print out the list toward the end of the semester when I'm calculating attendance grades. So as long as you're here and your computer doesn't fall asleep, you'll be marked attendance. So I see some questions. I generally don't look at the chat when I'm lecturing. So if you have a question, you'll just have to turn your mic on and just yell it out. I mean, I'll look at the chat log here right now. Project 1, when's it due? Check the syllabus, Abby. Let's see, we have an iPad with an Apple Pen. Are we able to use that? Yeah, sure. If you can use Illustrator. The problem with an iPad is sometimes your resolution isn't as high as a computer screen, and when that happens, it cuts off. Your workspace won't look like my workspace, and if that could be an issue for some students when I say grab this over here and you're going around looking for a tool and you can't find it because your screen is like compressed. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I don't know when Project 1 is due. It's on the syllabus, so I'm really bad at dates. It's like 2 weeks. It's like 2 weeks. You know, add 14 days to whatever today is, and then that's when Project 1 is due. Let's see. What am I talking about? What was I just talking about? I'm not a morning person. I was talking about something. Anybody? Put me out of my misery. I was going to show you. I'm sharing my screen for some reason. Nobody? Is anybody even here?
It was about the question that someone just asked in the chat about using an iPad.
Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so what happens is when you open Illustrator, the first thing I always do here, I do 3 things when I open a file. Okay, the first thing I do is I go to Window and I go to Workspace, and I hit Reset Essentials Classic, right? I put my Workspace on Essentials Classic. These are all the different workspaces that illustrators, people who use this software typically use it for either layout design, like brochures, or they do it for painting, or they do it for review, or tracing images, or creating fonts, or web design. I'm just going to do like a generic mishmash of the best with something called Essentials Classic. This has like a good blend of all the tools. And first thing I do is I go to Essentials Classic, and then I hit Reset Essentials Classic. And that resets my property bar here, and that resets my tools over here. And if you have, now watch what happens when if I pop my window out here and I shrink it and I make it smaller, sometimes you start losing information, tools on the toolbar. See, if I go down here, you'll see more. And the iPads or tablets, sometimes they use like a little, it's called mobile, like a mobile layout instead of like this Workspace. It might be like Essentials Classic mobile version, and then it may have some things missing. That's the only issue with that. Okay, close that, and this is what I did on Tuesday. Let me grab all this and delete it. Okay. All right. So let me go through some stuff with Illustrator here. I asked you all to download this file before we came to class. I hope you've all downloaded it. If you haven't downloaded it yet, it's on the, you go right here to Illustrator 1 intro worksheet, and you click it, and then you open it. Nothing to unzip here. It's just an Illustrator file. All right, let's look at Illustrator. This is a very powerful program. Let me do a little demonstration for you of where we're going. Okay, I'm grabbing my pen tool. Don't do this. Just sit back and watch my little demo here, and I will show you why we do what we do here. See, on pen tool. Here it is. All right, so you don't have this file. I moved this eyeball and hand section to like week 4 or 5. So you guys will do this later, but I'm just going to do this right now to illustrate the differences between Photoshop and Illustrator. So just sit back and watch this demo. Photoshop uses pixels. So when you're at the correct resolution for an image, which is probably like where the top and bottom of the screen are just fitting in the window, you look at an image like this and it's not bad. This is the design resolution for this pixel-based image, this raster image. Photoshop uses something called raster. It's a raster image, which means this image is made up of tiny little squares, and each square has like a different gradient of color here. And you put those little squares together and you get a picture. The problem with Photoshop is you have to create your artwork at the resolution intended, at the size intended for your audience. So if you create one artwork and you don't know if it's going to go on a bumper sticker or on a billboard, or if it's for the internet or if it's for print, you have to make several copies. One very large, very high res, and then a few medium and low res. With Illustrator, you just have one file, and it's scalable to any size. So you make your artwork once, and it's ready for manufacture. It's ready for print. It's ready for production. And anybody can take that file and scale it to any size. And I'll demonstrate this. So this raster image, you cannot scale it. If I try to zoom in, it just looks like garbage, right? And that's the limitation of Photoshop. So let me do a little demo here. Just watch this. This is the pen tool. I'm grabbing some red ink here. This is my stroke line. This is my fill. I'll turn it on a blue fill here and I'll show you. So if I were to draw like a curved line here on my eyebrow, you see it has a blue fill. If I grab my selection tool, click on my object to display my object properties up here, you'll see I have a blue fill and a red outline. That's what this is. And then this is my stroke width. It's 1.1 pixel width for my stroke line. If I go click on this arrow, I can increase the thickness of the line. I can go to this drop down here and click like say 20 or something. And you see this and you're looking at this going, Mr. Hunt, I do not understand why this is better than this. So let me show you. So I'm going to grab my selection tool again and select my object. And you can change the shape of it too. Make it a little bit more eyebrow-like. I'm going to turn my fill off. You have different kinds of brushes here too. So down here is a brush library. You have all different kinds of brushes. And if I go to artistic and say charcoal pencil, for example, we have lots of these organic lines that we can choose from. And these look, they don't look very sterile. They don't look like those big blocks. You know, in print, they will look organically drawn here. I press the letter V on my keyboard to get my selection tool, and I can cycle through these. For right now, instead of going with these pencil lines here, I'm just going to keep it at my uniform line here, my basic line, and I'm just going to increase my size to like 40, and then make it kind of, whoops, that's a little bit too big, maybe 20, right? Good enough. P for pen tool, I'm going to draw, and the way the pen tool works is it's like dropping push pins on a cork board with a rubber band attached to it. So I put a pin down here, and you can see this rubber band attached to my pin. If I go and I put another pin over here, and then I pull this little handle off of, I'm clicking and dragging off of this here, I can pull this little curve handle here and create a curve. Now, if I click on this object here, you can see again my properties here, my fill, my stroke line, my stroke width. I'm going to change this, make it a little bit thicker. And it's kind of a square line here. I'm going to make it pointed on both ends, right, to make it look a little bit nicer. To get my curve to line up, I'm going to grab my direct selection tool, this white triangle, click on an anchor to make my handles visible. But my handles are not visible, right? You're wondering, what's a handle? Let me go over here. Remember how I said there are 3 things you do in Illustrator whenever you open a file? First thing is Workspace, Reset, Essentials Classic. Second thing is you go to View here, and where it says Show Edges, you need to click on that, and that will show you your little your curve handles here. If you go to View and it says Hide Edges, you're good. You don't have to touch anything. If it says Show Edges, click it. And the third thing you do is you go File, you go Save As, and then you save your file with your name on it someplace you can find it. Get it out of the download folder and go make a folder someplace in your document folder that has your text stuff, right? Those are the 3 things. Now, you see my curve here. Once I create a curve, I can change it with this direct selection tool, this white triangle. I can click on an anchor and drag it anywhere I want. These little handles, if I click on this anchor, you can see both handles. This top handle is controls this curve right here, and I can change the height of the curve. You know, I can change the angle of the curve. You know, wherever you want, you can get it to adjust. And I'll go over that in great detail. This is just a demo here. Click, click. I'm creating my little eye work here. And so you, oops, Control Z or Command Z if you have a Mac will go back in time, erase any of your mistakes. Here's my selection tool. I've dragged this out. That's what I have so far. Let me show you how to do the eyeball. Ellipse tool, I'm going to drag out a circle. If I want it symmetrical, I just hold the Shift key down. That makes it symmetrical. If I want to change the size of this, I use this black triangle. That allows, the black triangle is called the selection tool. And this allows me to select my object. And so when you select it, you have your properties here. On your layer panel, you have, you can see a little color indicator that says you have selected something on this, in this artboard. If I open this little group here on my layer panel, you can see the ellipse here. And it's highlighted because I have it highlighted. If I click on this eyebrow here, you can see the eyebrow is highlighted. You know, if I hold my Shift key down and click on the top one and then the bottom one, I can highlight all 4 of these objects at once. And I'll go over the layer panel in great detail toward the end of class and next week. It's just a good idea to keep in mind that we do have a layer panel that is very useful. Again, these two triangles here, the black triangle is your selection tool. If I go toward the center of my object, you'll see this little postage stamp icon up here at the lower right-hand side of my selection tool, and that allows me to move my object anywhere I want. These little transformation handles here allow me to scale this circle, larger or smaller. If you want to keep it as a perfect circle, you hold the Shift key down, and that's a perfect circle. If you want to take an object and rotate it, you go just outside the corner here and you can rotate your object, right? And don't be afraid to goof around, because anytime you do something and you screw it up, you just hit Control or Command Z if you have a Mac, and it'll go backward 1 step. If you click it again, it'll go back 2 steps. If you click it again, it goes back 3 steps. It'll go back to the last time you saved. So if you made a huge mistake, the last thing you want to do is hit the Save button. Go ahead and hit Control Z until you fix what you did, and then you can save your work. Let me go ahead and match this circle here to the correct size. Hold my Shift key to make it nice and big, and I'm going to give it a fill color here. And you see my outline is red. I can change my outline to like a matching color. Now the problem is my iris goes above the eyelid. So what a lot of students do incorrectly is they take this transformation handle and they try to squish it in, and they create this oval iris. I mean, I don't know any human being that has an oval iris that is alive, so I want you to be careful with that. What I want you to do is just collapse this anchor, and you're going to grab your direct select tool. And the direct select tool I showed you earlier is how you manipulate individual anchors, how you manipulate curve handles here. And also, in circles, we have 4 anchors here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can just grab this top anchor. Oh, the whole object's moving. So whenever you use this white triangle and you want to move just 1 anchor, you have to deselect everything first. The whole object is selected. So I'm going to deselect by clicking an empty space. Then I'm going to click on this 1 anchor, and I can kind of squish this circle down, right? So there's my iris here. That's done. Now I need to do my pupil here. We'll go circle and hold my Shift key down, and I'll make that a black interior. Let's see how, if I get that. Maybe I'll make that a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to zoom in. You always want to zoom in when you're doing your work, because it makes life easier. All right, so I'm going to draw another circle right here, and we'll make that interior fill white. And we'll say it has a blue outline here. For the reflection on the pupil, we'll say no outline. I'll draw another one. All right. There I have elements of my eye. And now I'll look at my layer panel here, and let's look at this. You can see my 2 little circles here I drew for the eyes. You can click on them in your layer panel to see them selected. If I take my iris here and select it, and I grab my selection tool and I move it under there. Do you see that? There's my eye. Let's grab these things over here. Let's move that. Now, what's the problem with this eye is you'll see my pupil is on top of the eyeliner. So you look at my layer panel. These are just like windows, like sheets of glass with artwork on it, stacked on the floor. And the first thing you did is on the bottom layer, and then every time you draw something new, it draws it on a new piece of glass, and you put it right on top of each other. So if you were to stand and look down through all these sheets of glass, this is what you're looking at. But I can take any one of these sheets of glass, like let's say this iris one, this little eyeball figure right here, I can turn that off and then make this layer of glass invisible. Then when we look down at all of our layers, we can see all of our layers together. So I need to change I want to put this eyeliner on top of this iris. So here's my eyeliner down here underneath my iris. I'm going to click and drag this and move it up on top, right? And then you can see my iris here is a little bit wonky. I'm going to hide my crime here and make my stroke line for my eyeliner a little bit bigger. Right. All right. That's probably too big. Who has eyeliner like that? Even the Kardashians. Okay. So here, let's see. I'm going to go to my pupil here. We'll take that outline off and see if I can't, you know what? I got to collapse this eyeball. Direct select tool, deselect, click on empty space, click on that one anchor, and I'm going to push it down a little bit. Selection tool, I'm going to move my iris out of the way, make sure my pupil is lined up in the right spot. Make sure my iris is lined up in the right spot. Make sure my eyeliner is lined up. And it's a little bit not fitting. I guess I could move this down a little bit more, since you can't see it. And then let's remove this outline. See, the outline is kind of poking out here. No outline. All right. So if I were to take this and move it over, and what I'm doing is I'm holding any tool that you have here in Illustrator. If you hold the space bar, you can toggle between your tool and this little hand tool. The hand tool allows you to zoom around your screen without having to go use your, some people will use these little sliders here and sit there and try to navigate like that. It's really tough. Just go ahead and hold the space bar down, move your artboard around, and take a look at this eye. So maybe I could change my brush lines for my eye and my eyeliner. You see I've selected the eyeliner and then my little eyelid crease here. These two layers are selected. I did that by just drawing this little box around the corners of those two objects. They're selected. And I can change the brush to something, something that looks kind of hand-drawn here. Let's find a better one. You can goof around with that one. Maybe just the eyelid. Anyway, let's put this back. I'll make this pointed. Make this one maybe. Let's keep that one uniform. All right. Now, when I zoom in here, so look at this raster image. When I zoom in, there's a limitation, right? With Illustrator, when you zoom in, there's no limitation. It's always going to be perfectly smooth and sharp. You know, the edges of the circles here will always be perfectly smooth. So if we were to zoom this up to the size of a billboard, it's going to be perfect. If we scale it down to a postage stamp, it'll be perfect, right? And that's what we're going to do with, that's why we're learning Illustrator. If you're a merchandiser and you're like, why do I have to learn Illustrator? I have seen so many merchandisers here with more talent than the designers in the class. It's a shame that, and so all we're going to do is we're going to work on these programs to give you the skills to take what's in your head and create a digital file that's ready for manufacture, ready for production. So let's get started. So here is our Illustrator worksheet. And you'll notice here, once I put my workspace into Essentials Classic and then reset my workspace, I'm going to go to View here and make sure this says Hide Edges, because that means my edges are showing right now, which is great. And then I'm going to go to File here and Save As, and I'm going to go find my Fashion Tech folder that I made for this class, which was like, I think it was this one. If anybody's there, I made folders in this class last week, or did I not do that yet?
We did it.
Okay, so I'm going to, thank you. So I'm going to, this work here, oh, it says PDF. So apparently I saved it as a PDF. Let's open, a new file here. And I'm zooming out by hitting the Control minus key. If you have an Apple computer, it's a Command minus. Every time I say Control, if you have an Apple computer, just in your head translate it to Command. So Command plus or minus will zoom in and zoom out. Command plus or minus, and Command or Control 0 will zoom in and fit the one page you're on into the picture frame. And then you'll see me pressing the space bar and scrolling around like this. It's a lot faster than going down here and trying to mess with these sliders. All right, so that's your basic navigation. Other things that can happen, so let me select everything. Control A for select all, and then delete, and then I've got everything. Let me check my layer panel. Draw here, locked, everything's good. All right, so I'm navigating, I'm zooming in, I'm zooming out. I set my workspace, I set my edges. Now I need to save my file. We'll go to Save As. We're going to keep it as an Illustrator file, and I'm going to put it into my a tech file, into my Adobe Illustrator folder here. And you can see I've already done this demo a few times. So you're going to put your last name, first initial, and we can call it Pentool, or we can call it Illustrator, or whatever you want to call it. Just put your name there and give me some descriptor of what it is. Then you hit Save.
Are we supposed to be opening the Illustrator intro worksheet?
Yeah, it looks like this one.
Yeah, mine's not opening. Whenever I click on it, I just get a gray screen.
Yeah, don't use Safari. You got to use Firefox or Chrome.
Okay.
All right. Because Apple, yeah, anyway, because Apple. All right, so after you've saved your master file and you have your workspace and your edges, we're ready to start. Let's take a look at this layout here. We have our selection and direct select tool, which I kind of gave you a little intro earlier. We have our pen tool. You see some of these tools have a little white triangle in the lower right-hand corner. If you click and hold that, you'll see other options that tool can do. So if you do select another tool, make sure you go back and bring it back to the original. The shortcut for the pen tool is the letter P. So you'll see me just switching back and forth between my selection tool, my direct select tool, and my pen tool all the time. I don't always go to this toolbar. I may just hit the shortcut. So right now I have the zoom tool. It's a little magnifying glass. If I press the letter P on my keyboard, it turns into the pen tool. If I press the letter V on my keyboard, it turns into the selection tool. I'm assuming they're choosing this V key because it kind of looks like an inverted cursor. And they couldn't do, yeah, I have no idea why it's a letter V. Anyway, the direct select tool, the white arrow, is the letter A key. To release your anchor when drawing line is a space bar, as well as the hand is a space bar. Z is for zooming. And then copy paste is Controller Command C for copy, Controller Command V for paste. And I'll be doing a lot of those things here. So I'm zooming out, Control minus, space bar to move this up. Here is the shape builder tool. We have some basic geometric shapes. And then the rest of this shape building activities are advanced stuff. You're welcome to go look at tutorials on how to do that. It's very useful, but it's I don't have time to really go into all of this advanced shape building, so you can do that on your own. You can go to YouTube and just type in CC for Creative Cloud and Illustrator, and then type in any tool or any topic, flats or pen tool or anything in YouTube, and you'll see a ton of tutorials. Just make sure that when you do that, you don't choose like see, like here, Illustrator, how to draw flats, fabrics. There's all kinds of stuff. Just make sure you choose like a short video, something like 3 minutes is good. Don't choose a 20-minute video because you get like people talking about their room. Hey YouTube, I just got a new cat, whatever. 3 minutes gets to the point, and there's like usually some like 11-year-old in Guatemala that can show you how to do this better than I can. It's always an option. Even TikTok has some hashtag Illustrator tutorial. They have lots of little tips and tricks for some of this advanced tools here in 60 seconds. I can't do that in 60 seconds. All right, so here, let's get started with the pen tool. First thing we're going to do, and I explained this to you earlier, I'm going to zoom in here so that my screen is nice and big. I see so many students, you know, they'll be like this, and their face will be like an inch away from the screen, and they're like, no, I'm fine, Mr. Hahn. I can do this really well. Yeah, okay, I'm super happy your eyes are, you have eagle predator eyes, but, you know, come on, zoom in for your own sake. Don't wear your eyes out, because when you get older, you lose your eyes. All right, here we go. So we're going to copy these lines. You don't have to copy this exact color. I made these weird colors so that in case you do use the color black, you can see what you're doing. So 2-point line thickness, a pen tool. Here's my pen tool. You'll see your pen tool in the lower right-hand corner. There's an asterisk symbol. There are 6 symbols the pen tool has, depending on what function you're doing. Adding an anchor, deleting an anchor, converting an anchor point. I'm going to stick with just your regular pen tool. Asterisk means you haven't had any existing anchors yet. There's no line. I'm going to start a new line. And what you want to do is just click once only here. Drop that push pin with that rubber band attached to it. Then I'll go down here, and then I'll click again to drop that line. Now I still have this tail over here. If I were to go over here and start a new line, I create this other line here. So I don't want that. I'm going to hit Control-Z or Command-Z to go back in time. But I still have this little tail here. If I want to cut this tail, I just need to press the letter P on the keyboard. Press the letter P, and it cuts that line. And it allows you to start a new line, right? If you're having trouble making your line perfectly straight, you can just hold the Shift key down, and it'll straighten out your line for you. And click here. So now I have 2 lines, but the thickness is wrong and the color is wrong. So I'm going to go grab my, and I don't see any properties up here to change the line that I drew. So I'm going to go click on this selection tool. I'm going to click on the object here, and I'm going to increase the stroke width size. I could even change the color to something, you know, that I want, like a magenta or a, yeah, or light blue, or no, probably like a magenta or something. No, I chose magenta. Let me, purple. All right. This line here I drew, let's make it 9-point thickness. 9 point. And then I can change the color from black to purple. So even though this line is very wide, the actual math for the line is very thin. It's just right down the middle. So you can only grab the line here in the middle of the line. If you go out to the side, you know, you may end up like rotating it or something like that. All right, so here's my 9-point. I'm going to do another line here. P for pen tool. Click and click. And we'll make it 40 points. So I grab my selection tool, click on the line, we'll go to 40. Boom. It's a little crooked, you know, who cares? I don't care. If you want to fix it, you can grab your direct select tool and find the anchor and try to fix that. Again, if you a little bit of color is showing, you know, I don't care. As long as I can see you are dropping anchors. Let's go ahead and try that. I know it's hard to watch a video and do the work at the same time, so if you're more comfortable just watching me go through all of this and then working on it on your own later, you can do that. So let me know if you're trying it and you need me to slow down, and I'll stop. And then, again, if you have a question, just shout it out and I'll answer it. So over here, I'm going to talk to you more about those 6 symbols you can see on the lower right-hand side of your pen tool. We went over the asterisk symbol. That's new line. So if I click on these 4 anchor points here, 1, 2, oops, 3. I'm still at 40-point thickness. That's funny. If I go back to my last anchor, you see in the lower right-hand corner, you see that little circle? Here, let me fix this. Let's change this too. So I have to click on the object to get my properties here, and I want to put this back to like, Maybe a 2-point thickness will be fine. All right, so now I have this object here. Oh goodness, there's a white fill here. Let me turn this fill off. All right, so here I have this purple line here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to create another line and have it sitting out not connected. Control or Command Z. What I want to do is I want to attach my new line to my existing line. And when you hover your pen tool over your last anchor, you'll see this little / symbol. That's like the third symbol that you can see on the pen tool. I like to think of that as like a needle and thread, like a little needle. That allows me to stitch right there. And then now it's connected to my last anchor. And I can go back and I can finish the shape here. I know the shape is closed because I see a little closed circle symbol on the lower right-hand side of my pen tool. So the pen tool is always going to be showing you what it is that it is doing. If you close a shape, it automatically cuts that tail, and you're ready to start a new shape if you want. I'm going to hit the V key selection tool. I'm going to select this object. I'll hit delete. All right, so now that I have this object here, if I don't see the properties of it, I should just click it with my selection tool, this black arrow. And you can see I have no fill. If I give it a blue fill, there's a blue fill. If I give it a polka dot fill, there's a checkerboard or polka dots or whatever. It's all there. I'm going to say no fill for now. Now I want to show you how to remove an anchor. So, all right, everyone get your microphones ready. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Here's my selection tool. Here's my object. Remember, I have there's 4 push pins with a rubber band wrapped around the 4 pins. Everyone understand that? So if I were to hover over an existing anchor with my pen tool, let me show you this. I've selected on empty space, so nothing is selected. If I grab my pen tool and hover over an existing anchor, nothing happens. It's saying I can draw a new line from here. If I were to select it first and then grab my pen tool, you'll see that symbol is now a little minus sign. Because here are the properties of the shape I just drew. The only thing I can do here, because you can't add an anchor on top of an anchor, the Illustrator is smart and it knows that since I'm hovering over an existing anchor, there's a minus sign there. So the only thing I can do is remove it. So if there's a rubber band around these 4 pins and I pull this pin out, what's going to happen to my square? Is it going to stay a square or is it going to change its shape? Who can answer that? Anybody?
Change its shape.
Yeah, so right now I have 4 pins with a rubber band wrapped around it. If I were to pull this pin out, what's going to happen to my shape?
Does it turn into a circle or?
Not a circle.
Okay.
A triangle.
So a triangle. So like if I have 4 pins in here with a rubber band wrapped around it, and I pull this pin out, watch this. It turns into a triangle. You see that? Now, and that's how you remove an anchor. That's what this little picture is. Now, if I want to add an anchor while this object is selected, I go with my pen tool and I hover over, excuse me, this line. And you'll see a little plus sign, and that's the addition symbol. That's like add an anchor. So if I add an anchor there, you'll see there's a little anchor there. As long as my edges are showing, you should be able to see that. If I want to move this anchor, I need to grab my direct selection tool, this white triangle, and I will click on this and I can move this anchor out. Woo! Right there, boom. If the whole symbol moves, the whole shape moves when you try to move that one anchor, then you just have to, click on empty space before you click on the anchor to move it with your direct selection tool. So let's try that again here. I'm going to draw a triangle here. Oops. It's important that the first anchor you drop, you don't click and drag on the first anchor, because that pulls this curve handle out, and that means the next anchor you drop will create a curve, and we're not doing that. I'm just clicking carefully, clicking once, clicking, and then I'm closing my shape. Now I'm going to add an anchor here. Now I'll go to my direct selection tool and I'll click on that anchor and I'll move it out. And I will do that one more time over here. Boom, 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 boom. I'll add an anchor, go to my direct selection tool, and I will move it up. Some of you will notice on your symbols here, if you click on the direct selection tool and you click on an object, you'll have these little circles here in the corners. These will take your anchors and turn them into, and get rid of that point and turn it into a curve. It'll add like 2 anchors here instead of 1 anchor there and turn it into a circle. If you want to do that, you're welcome to try that. So those are the symbols of the pen tool. We have the star to create a new line. We have a minus to remove an anchor. We have a plus sign to add an anchor. We have that little sewing symbol to reattach to a line. Here, to reattach, you'll see that sewing symbol. And now let me go to curves. If you're all ready for that, I'll go on to curves. If you need more time, just holler. All right, let me show you how to make some curves here. Here's my pen tool. I'm going to click once only. Here, click another one. Boom, right? Now I need to cut this tail. Hit the P key on your keyboard. I'm going to go over here and click and click. And then what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to both click and drag at the same time right here. I'm going to click and drag, and when you drag, you pull this little curve handle out. And I made a little color indicator you can follow, and that creates the curve, right? So now I need to cut this tail. I'm going to press the P key on my keyboard to cut it. If I grab the direct select tool, this white triangle, I can click on this handle and I can change the shape of my curve to adjust it. If I totally missed and I put my anchor in the wrong place, you can grab this handle and then hold the space bar, and that will release that pin and allow you to put it any place you want it, and then you can adjust it. So let me demonstrate that for you again. P for pen tool, click, 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 drag. I'm in the totally wrong place. I need to move this anchor. So without letting go of my mouse button, I'm going to hold my space bar, and I can move this anchor right there. And then I can pull this curve out. And that's how you make a curve, ladies and gentlemen. And let's keep practicing. Again, if you need me to stop, just holler out. P key, click, click and drag in this direction to create a curve, right? Now, if I do that by accident, no problem. Control or Command Z, right? I got to cut this tail. P for pen tool, click, click and drag, right? P for pen tool. Over here, I want to create a straight angle out of my curve, right? So if I were to click here and click here and let go and I try to click here, you see I can't make a straight line because I've got this handle here. Here's my direct select tool. If I click on this anchor, you'll see 2 handles. This handle controls this curve up here. This handle controls this curve down here, right? So I just want to get rid of this handle here. So I'm going to hit Control Z, and I'm going to go back in time, and I'll do this again. And how I get rid of that handle is once I click on this second anchor, I want to cut this handle. This is the last symbol that the pen tool will show you. If you hover your pen tool over the last anchor, you'll see like a little pair of tweezers or a little pair of scissors right there, and that means I'm going to cut my handle. So watch what happens to my 2 handles here when I click it. See, one handle disappeared. This curve handle is still here, but this one's gone. Now I can just make a straight line. So I'll show that to you again. V key for my selection tool, click and drag, hit delete. P key, click, click, drag, and then I'll click on this right there, and I'll go straight. Boom. That's how you make a curve. More practice. I click and drag right here. P for pen tool to cut that tail. Click, and I'm going to click and drag right here. Right? P for pen tool to cut that. Now this one's a little tricky because out of this anchor, I need to make a sharp turn. That's hard to do without clipping that handle. You see, if I go over here, I can't do it. I need to get rid of this handle here. So to get rid of this handle, you just go back and click on the last anchor. And click and drag. P for pen tool. Now, I want to tell you something here. V key, select, delete. Some of you are a little nervous, and you may like click once here, and then you go and you do something else, and you're like, "Where's my anchor?" And you go back and you click again here, and then maybe you went and did something else, and you come back and you're like, "Where's my anchor?" And then maybe you clicked out here, and then you did something else. Where'd my anchor go? Your anchors are all still there. If I grab my selection tool and I draw a little capture box right here, and I see a capture, I'll see like I've got several anchors actually still there. You see 1 anchor, 2 anchors, 3 anchors, but if I were to select an empty space, you won't see them because they don't have any lines attached to them. If I hover over it, you can see the anchor. So if I were doing something like this, and we do line joining, if I say join, object path, join right here, you'll notice that suddenly you'll have lines appearing on your artboard that you didn't draw because of these orphaned anchors. So you want to be careful if you have these anchors there. Every time you touch the artboard with your pen tool, you will drop an anchor if you click on your mouse button. So if this happens, you got to keep your workspace clean. I'm going to grab my selection tool and I'm going to drag it over this area, and I'll hit delete just to make sure there's no anchors there. Right? That happens particularly a lot, like in this example, when you have students trying to create a curve right here, and then they want to create a second curve. They know they have to click this handle, and then sometimes they end up clicking next to it, or next to it, next to it, and it kind of gets a little messy with the lines here. Be careful, be precise here. Click right on that anchor, and then you can make your second curve. All right. If you're working on that still, keep working. If you need more time, holler. If you're just watching, if no one hollers, I'm going to keep going. All right, let's keep going. Now I'm going to show you more curves here. Click, drag. And where I'm going here is I'm going to show you how to make an S curve here. I got to hit the P key to undo that. Click, drag. Hit the P key. Click, drag. Hit the P key to undo that. Now let me show you how to do an S curve here. So first we'll do half the curve. Boom, boom. No problem. Now for this S curve, if I click here, and let me do that again. If I click right here, and I click right here, there's no way for me to make this S curve. I can only make a single curve. So an S curve is actually 2 curves here. So I'm going to hold my space bar here and move this anchor over right here. And then I'll just do half of my curve. And then because I have this handle sticking out, it's making my second curve right here. Kind of matches. Good enough, I think. I can adjust my handle here. All right, so let me show you that again. P for pen tool. I cannot make this S curve from here to there. I have to bisect it. I have to find the midpoint of this curve. So beginning, middle, and end. And then try it again over here. Beginning, middle, and end. And if I don't like the way it's looking, I can go to my direct selection tool and grab this handle Again, if you don't see the handle, just go ahead and click on the last anchor, and then you'll see the handle appear, as long as your edges are showing. Right? All right. Let's keep going. Same principle here. We're going to look for this little scissor symbol to clip the handle. So P key, straight lines are no problem. Over here, press the P to cut the tail. 1, 2. Then I have a curve right here. Press the P. And then right here, I'm going to make a curve. And then to make this curve here, I got to click this handle. And then I can make a second curve. And I'll clip that. All right, over here, same thing. Beginning, middle. And it's a little bit offline, so I'm going to hold my spacebar down, and I'll put this right in the middle. Let go of the spacebar and continue my curve. Boom, boom. Direct select tool, I can make an adjustment there. Hold the spacebar to release that. There it is. P key, and then over here, click, click, drag that out. Now I can't make this shape without clicking on the handle. And it says some temporary text there. I forgot to fix that. All right, forgive me. Control minus, or command minus to zoom out, and we'll try it on some other curves. I'm going to talk about symmetry here. Everybody good to go? I'll take that silence as a yes. Excuse me. P for pen tool, straight line. And then I don't want to see this, okay? Don't do this. How many anchors? This is like 15 anchors there. Excuse me. Even if you did get it close, that's not what I want. What I want you to do here is be very economical. We got to pretend that each of these anchors cost $10,000, and you want to use as few anchors as possible. So I only need one for the straight line here in the beginning and the end. I hope you didn't hear that. I think I muted. All right, so now for this curve here, I just need a beginning, middle, and an end here. So to find the midpoint, you go right here. To make the curve symmetrical, I need to make this horizontal here. And if you're having trouble because you drank too much coffee or something, you can hold the shift key down. That will flatten it out. And then I just want half the curve. And because it's symmetrical, it will finish it for you right there. Boom, Illustrator. I only have 3 anchors here, beginning, middle, and end. Every curve you draw in Illustrator should only have 3 anchors, beginning, a middle, and an end, not like da, 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 da. If you do that, you'll lose points. Okay, same thing over here, beginning, middle, right? Space bar, we'll put that back. Shift key will make this nice and flat. Beginning, I'm not touching anything here. Illustrator is automatically matching that curve. And then straight line. Illustrator kind of knows. Here we have some curves here. We're going to do some handle clipping. So beginning, middle, hold the shift key down, end. Middle, hold the shift key down, end. Now, Illustrator will give you little indicators to show that you're matching previously drawn anchors. So if I go over here, you see that little magenta line that pops up? That's showing me where the other anchors are. So when I see that magenta line, I know I'm lining up with this anchor. This one I need to move still. All right? Then I can hold my shift key down. Look for that magenta line there. Now it's lining up. Go over here, look for that magenta line, shift key, and down. And then we'll practice again. P for pen tool, boom, boom, beginning, middle, end. Look for that magenta line, and beginning, middle, shift key, end. Look for that magenta line there. you know, get it close. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I see some students, they'll do something like this. You know, I'll see things like that. And that happened because your first line was off kilter. So to fix that, direct select tool, click on that anchor, click on that handle right there, hold the shift key down, get it nice and flat. Same thing over here. Hold the shift key down, oops, and you can fix this. Hold the shift key, hold the shift key. Nice and straight, right? You get those fixed. And that's about all I need to say about that, I think. I think you got it. Last one, no help involved here. You can do it. If you're really clever, you could probably just grab your selection tool, grab this, we'll go copy paste. Where to paste to? Copy, paste. Here, let me show you how to do a quick copy. If you grab your selection tool, click on your object. If you have a Mac, hold the Option key down. If you have a PC, you hold your Alt key down, and you'll see like a double selection and direct select arrow. If you hold that key down while the object is selected, you can just click and drag out an extra copy. Oh my God, am I cheating? Yeah, I'm cheating. Friday class, you get all the cheats here. I didn't show any of my other classes this. Just do it once and copy that. All right. Go over here. Shh, don't tell anybody. All right. For this maze here, I'm going to turn on this. If you're eagle-eyed, you see what I'm doing. Now watch what I do when I trace this maze. Click, click, straight, no problem. Symmetrical curve here, middle, right? And here's a curve. I need to make a straight line here. I can't do it with this handle, so I'm going to go over here, click on that anchor till I see that little scissors symbol. Click it, and then now I can make a straight line. Then everybody look up here. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down here and click this innocently enough. And then what happened? Is there anybody here watching the video? Can you tell me what I did wrong or what's going on?
The filler.
Yeah, perfect. I have a white fill and it's blocking my thing. So how do I turn my fill off? I don't see any properties here. I'm going to grab my selection tool, click on the object, and it has a white fill. I'm going to turn this fill to off. This little red line here means off. And it's off, right? And I can go back and I can continue this maze here. Here's a big curve here. We'll go to the middle. Here's another curve, middle. Here's another curve, middle. And then here, I get a lot of students trying to do one of these, and they create this little loop here. What you have to do, don't forget to clip these handles. Clip the handle, and then you can make a nice sharp angle there. Click, where's the end of this curve? Right here? No, it's probably right about here. All right. And, oh, no, that looks awful. All right, let's go right here. Oh my goodness. Control Z, let's clip this handle here. Probably should have done that in the beginning. Clip the handle, clip the handle. You don't always have to clip it, but And I'm not going to do this whole maze, but I just want to show you. Sometimes we do offer extra credit, or we'll give like a little maze Olympics here for anyone who needs extra credit later. We'll get a bunch of students up on the stage, and we'll have a contest who can finish the maze first. And we'll have teams and see if we can earn bonus points for the rest of the class. I think the record we have is 3.5 minutes. You know, there it is. I'm not going to keep going, but you get the idea. Right? So I'm going to, since I'm happy with everything so far, I'm going to save my work. You just hit Control or Command S for saving, and it'll save it to where you saved it. If you haven't saved it into your Fashion Tech folder, shame on you. Do that now. All right, now that we understand the pen tool, let's try a little bit of tracing here. So I'm going to show you, before we dive headfirst into flats, I'm going to show you the most important thing for drawing flats in Illustrator is that you have one layer that's dedicated toward just the total outline of the garment. And when I say outline, I don't mean the outline that goes on the front of this neck piece. I mean like a shadow. Like if you were holding it up and light was shining on it, what would the shadow look like? It wouldn't go along this front neckline. It would go along the back. So if I take my pen tool and I start drawing here, and I'm going to change my color from purple to like something that you can see a little bit better, the light blue. P for pen tool, right? Here's the armhole. I'm not going to do all these little curves here because I don't have time right now. I'm going to try to cheat a little bit. This curve right here is pretty challenging, so I'm going to take my time with this one. P for pen tool. I see an S curve here, so I'm going to go to the middle of that curve and click on my handle here. I'll click on this handle right there. Oh, that looks horrible. Click on this handle right here. Make these curves. Click on that handle. It's getting a little crazy right down here. Click on this handle. Control or Command minus. We'll go a little bit more detail on this side here. A little bit of a line, a little bit of a line. And then we'll close the shape. So now we have our outline here. And what I want to do, what I want to show you here is how important this layer is. So I'm going to open my layer panel here. And I'm going to move this outline out. And we'll look at our color indicator for this layer I just drew, right? I have a little color indicator there. If I click on the eyeball, you can see this little eyeball is the visibility of the layers in this stack right here. And if you click on the eyeball, that layer goes invisible or visible. When it's invisible, you can do anything you want here. It won't affect your drawing, and then you can bring it back. So it's great for isolating individual layers. So I'm going to call this one my dress one outline. Double click on the text here, and you can type that in. And we're going to do some layer management here. So now I can see this layer is on top, and I can give it, here's my fill. I can give it like a yellow fill or a red fill. Any fill you want. If you want to put a pattern in there, you can do that too. That's all I want for this exercise here. Let me show you down here. We'll do the same thing. And I'll do a little bit more detail here to show you this layer management concept. All right, so let's say, yeah, there we go, a little bit. Boom. And then I have a fill here, so I need to get rid of this fill. And I'm going to zoom in on this this detail right here. This just comes through experience, like where to put your anchors to make this curve. So I'm going to divide it up into just little curves here. And I'm not trying to fight the pen tool at this point. The pen tool is kind of making curves for me, which is great. I need to do this one here. All right. I'm going to click on this anchor to eliminate that handle. We'll zoom out a little bit. There's a slight curve to this part of the skirt. Click on that handle. Now I've closed it. So here is my outline shape of my skirt. If I click on my skirt and I can double click here, we can call this skirt outline. And then we can give it like a color as well. And that's really all you need to do for this one. But I'm going to take it a step further here and show you something on the layer panel here. So the layer panel here, I showed you, you can click on, with your selection tool, you click on an object and a little color indicator will show you that you've selected it. This eyeball makes it disappear. You can click and drag these layers around to change the order in the stack in which you're looking at it. So we want to have this outline layer on the bottom so that we can change the color of our flat. So let me show you how to put in some details on a different layer. So I could even create a new layer right here, and it's going to go, you know what, let me go back in time. I think if I'm just on this skirt outline, let me see what happens. Yeah, it automatically creates a new layer for me. So I'm just going to keep on going here as long as I'm in the draw here area, and I'm going to take this, and I'm not even going to be close here because I can adjust it as long as I get my bottom anchor correct. Put a little curve handle in it. And then put one anchor here. Oops, no, let's not do that. All right. So let's take a look at these things I just drew. Right. I just drew these lines right here. They have a fill. I don't need a fill. I want to make them all pointed, so I can choose the flat end and pointed. So now they're all pointed. Right. I'm going to make them a little thicker so you can see it, and I'll change the color to make them more visible. Yeah. I don't know what color. Magenta. All right. What I can do here with these lines here is I'm going to draw a capture box around all of them. And you can see here in my layer panel, I've got all those little paths that I just drew. They're all highlighted. And I can go to Object and do something called grouping. And now there's a little group that you can open and see all those little lines that I drew. And if I select this group, I can change all the properties at once. Like if I decided to give it all a fill, you'll see they all have fill lines, right? If I wanted to change them to all look like zippers, I could do that, and they'll all look like zippers. But I want it to look like a regular line. I want it to be pointed. And I'm going to go in with my direct select tool and fix all of these curves here. My direct select tool, I can find the anchor and put that right there and change the curve. Again, you know, you can when you're drawing your own stuff, you can take creative liberty with your fold lines, your wrinkles and stuff. You may not need wrinkles in your technical flats. All right, so there, I've adjusted all those. And now you'll see if I were to grab this with my selection tool, because it's all in a group, they all move together. You know, I can move that right there. But I should probably put this one back. I didn't finish the details here. So there is a little hemline here, which I can add. Right now, if I click right here, I'm going to remove that anchor. So remember how I told you can't draw on top of it? So I'm just going to draw over here a line. And then I'm going to take my direct select tool, and now I can move this anchor on top of that anchor. And I can grab the handle and move that. And this should be my shape here. My outline shape. Grab everything here. Here we can group it. I think we can group it. Then can we color it? Yeah, we can do all that. So I grouped it. Be careful when you have these little extra lines in here. I grouped it, so now it's all connected, right? But there was a hemline, I added that. But for other stuff, for stitches and fold lines, you need to do that separately, right? And now you'll see the problem I'm having here is where are my, why is it going behind it? So if I look over here at my layer panel, you see my outline is now on top of my stitches. So I'm going to click and drag this below my stitches. And then now I can put my stitches here. And there's my skirt, except for my zipper. I forgot that. Let's go to my rectangle tool and make that like 0.25. And grab my direct select tool and grab this one anchor and move that down and oops. And add a little zipper line right here. I don't know why I'm obsessing with this. All right, and then you can take this and group it. And we'll call this group a zipper. All right, so there's my flat here. It's too small. Where'd it go? Oh, did I move it already? I did move it. All right. I could probably put this underneath. All right. All right, so when you have this done, you see I have these different groups here. Groups I'll put like folds, stitches. This is my outline. Now, if I want to change the color of this, all I got to do is click on my outline layer. So it's grouped here. I just got to click on my outline layer, and now I can change the color. And you see my color changed, and but all my details are still there. So if I were to grab this whole thing and copy and paste it, like for project 1, right? Let's say you have 4 garments and you want to change one to black and white. You just click on the outline here of this one and you go no color, or black and white. Then you click on the outline for this one and you say, you know, whoops. On the outline for this one, and you can change the color to, whoops. This one was white. This one, oh, my fold lines are also magenta. So Careful what color you make your fold lines. So you have two colors here, and then for this one you have a pattern. You know, and that's how you do your project one, right? So let's do some practice with that. So so over here, let me show you how to practice with the variable width, the zipper, and the stitch. Take your pen tool, you make a line here, and we're going to, I'm going to click on that line, and I'm going to make it like 3-point wide, and I need to make it pointed on one end, so I'm going to go pointed. And then you can put it just right next to it or on top of it. I just need to see that you know how to do that. It's a little bit thinner. Maybe it was, yes. Maybe it was a little bit like 6-point. All right. Now for the zipper, right? Hold the shift key down, make it straight. Click on the selection tool, click on your line, the zipper. And now when you work on your project, you don't have zippers, you don't have stitches. You can either make them yourself with the pen tool, or you can just come back, save this file. You can come back here and copy and paste this, and it will put the zipper brush into your brush options. I'll show you how to do that in a second here. Let me just finish the stitch line here. And we can click on this and go to stitches. Right? And these are the lines that we'll be using to make our flat. Now, I'm going to get you started on project 1. So what I want you to do is go to File here and go to New. And we're going to create a new file, 14 inches by 11 inches for landscape. If you want to do it in portrait mode, you click on that and it'll automatically switch those numbers for you. Just make sure your units are in inches, because if you put it on pixels or points, you're going to have 14 pixels wide. That's like 5 human hairs wide. And if you can put your whole project on 5 human hairs, you know, more power to you. I'm happy, but it'll look awful. So make sure you put this on inches, and let's change this to your last name, first initial, and project 1. And I'm going to create that file. Now I need to save this someplace I can find it. So I'm going to go Save As, and I'm going to go to my folder here. We'll go to AI, and we'll do project 1 Friday. Right. So here is my artboard. I'm going to reset my workspace, Essentials Classic, reset Essentials Classic. I need to go look at my edges. Show edges is on. All right. I saved it. Those are the 3 things I did. Now I have one artboard here. Project 1 needs 4 artboards. So I'm going to open up this tool right here called Artboards. And I'll click it, and it says 1 artboard. I can add another artboard. I can add a 3rd artboard. I can add a 4th artboard. Now when I zoom out, you'll see I have 4 artboards. If I want to remove one, I could just hit this trash can, and then I have 3, 2, 1, or keep adding them. And the numbers are wrong now. 2, 3. You don't need to, nobody cares. All right. Nobody cares, Dave. Okay, so here are my 4 layers, 4 artboards in my project. I'm going to save this. You're going to put your photographs of your clothing over here on this artboard. And all you got to do is, you file, you go to open, you go find the folder where your pictures of your clothing is. In this case, mine is over here in flats, like this. And it opens up your picture in another artboard. All you got to do is either copy and paste, edit, copy, edit, paste, or Control or Command C or V, or you can just drag it up to the file and drop it down in there. And then I'm holding my Alt key, Option key if you have a Mac again, and you know you're gonna make copies. So, I mean, you're not making copies. I'm just making copies to show you what your final thing will look like. It'll look something like this when you're done. You have your top, front and back. You've got your bottom, front and back, and then you have your one piece, front and back. That's all you got to do. No tracing. Just put your pictures on your artboard for next week, and we'll do all the tracing. I'll show you how to do that later. But just make sure you have this part done before we come to class for the project, right? So let me continue with our in-class work, and then so normally in an in-person class, you're all doing all this with me instead of watching this later. So when we leave class, we have this is all finished, and then I send you home with the homework. But now there's two. If you're not working along with me right now, you'll have to do two. Right. So let me show you how to do this. How fast it goes. Here I have a flat, and the first thing I want to do is get that outline layer. Right. So P for Pentool, and I'm going to draw this. And I think I have all those. I'm not going to draw these little lines here. I'm going to just kind of skip that for now. But you will draw those wrinkle lines. I've got to fill here. No, I can't see what I'm doing. So selection tool, click on here, say no fill. I'm going to say 2-point thickness for my line. P for pen tool. I'll continue clicking on that. All right, there's my armhole. Okay, so here's my flat, my outline. Pressing my Alt key or Option key if you have a Mac, and I'm making another one here. All right. Now if I go to my layer panel and take a look at this one, this is my, shirt outline. This one I don't need right now. All right, shirt outline, right? Now I'm going to do my details. So, I should put my, I'm going to grab my pen tool and I'm just going to draw regular lines for my stitches here, right? I guess you could just draw with the stitch line, couldn't you? So you go to your brush definition and you select stitches. Will this work? I don't know. Let's try it. Nope. Okay. So I'm just drawing regular lines here at this point. And hitting P key in between these, P for pen tool. And there's my stitch lines here. Here's another one. And if I grab all these lines right here, you'll see in my layer panel, I've selected all these layers, and I can group them, object group, and I'll call these one stitches. Right? And you can toggle the visibility of them on and off to make sure you have it. Now I need to select all these, right? Make sure they're all selected. You can do it in your layer panel, or you can just take your selection tool and drag it over everything. And then they're all selected. Now I can go over here and switch into stitches. Once you do that, you've got your stitches here. The lines are a little bit thick. I can go in and change it to about 0.75 or 0.5, right? And you can see they're not quite perfect. So again, you can grab your direct selection tool, and you can move these up. Again, if you're moving the whole thing, just click on empty space first, then click on the anchor. I'm getting lucky right here. I forgot my my fold lines here. Let's go ahead and I'll just draw two random lines here. I'll select them and I'll make them much thicker, 2-point thickness. I'll make them pointed, and We can probably group them too into folds. And now I need to move these, so let's zoom in and fix these. Direct select tool. Here's one anchor over here. Here's another anchor right here. All right. And over here, put that one right there. And put this one over here. And fix the handle. All right. So these are probably a little bit too thick. Put down one size here. All right, so now I have those, and I can move those over here. And then for the shape right here, I forgot this little gray area. P for pen tool. Drawing my little shape. I'll give this a gray fill color. And what happened to my neck stitches right here? Look at that. Boom, they're gone. So what I need to do here is I need to go to my layer panel here and look. This is the interior fill here. And my stitches are down here, so I need to move this down underneath my stitches. And then there that is. All right, grab my direct select tool. I'll move this around here. And then I forgot my my zipper. And click on this and zipper. Grab all of this here and then you can move it. Grab just the outline here. I'll hit copy and paste and do that. All right, I did that kind of backwards, but it's the same thing. Now, if you want this zipper and stitch, you want the zipper brush and the stitch brush in your project one. So here's my project one file that I made. If you look over here, you'll notice there is no stitch brush, there is no zipper brush. That's not standard. But here's a cheat here. You can just grab these, and we'll go copy, and go to your project here and go paste. And here they are. And then now you look at your brushes, you have your stitches, you have your zipper. And then you can just delete these, but the brushes will still be there. And that's how you get around. Otherwise, you can make your own stitches, you can make your own zipper. I'll show you how to do that in the coming weeks. But if you don't want to do that, you can just use these. It's not cheating. All right. Let me continue. So for something like this, it gets a little bit more complicated. This shape is kind of hard to draw, but if you just create a shape, with a light gray fill, and then we can cover it by tracing this stuff with a white fill. So that's what this exercise was here. This neckline matches the neckline of the interior fill here. So if I were to take this shape, you can see that kind of matches, right? So I need to trace these out. That's what these are. I'll trace that. Clip that handle. Boom, 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 and something like that. Okay, I'll fix this. I'll fix this one. All right. And I'll make sure it's the right color. We want like a white fill. And then if I were to put this over here and put this one with the white fill on top, you see how that works? And that's how we're going to get our interior fill, right? So if I have a little shape over here, and this one has a white fill, does it? Yeah. No, put that over here. See that? And then over here, I've got a curve line. P for pen tool. I got a curve line, and I can just fix this with my direct select tool again. And we'll make this curved, pointed with a no fill here. So grab my direct selection tool here, grab this anchor. Here are my handles. You can adjust the curve. Here and this one too. Let's make this one pointed. Right? I'll grab these two shapes. We can even group those and call these tiny folds. Right. So we'll take these selection tool and I'll move these over. And then if I wanted to trace this one too, boom, boom. All right, so there is this shape right here. Empty space, click on the anchor. There's my handle. Here's this fill. Here's this fill right there. And my selection tool and grab these and move these over. You see, that's how we did that. I can even grab all this and group this as a neck assembly. Flat 2. And then I got to make the outline here, right? I forgot to do that. So P for pen tool. Make a little shape here. Again, if I just zoom in, I wouldn't be suffering so much right now. P for pen tool. And I'm a little bit sloppy because I know that I can just fix it with the direct selection tool later. Click that handle, straight, straight. Click that handle, zoom out, bisect the curve here. Horizontal line, holding my shift key down. All right, now I got to get rid of this fill. Click on the object, say no fill. All right, P for pen tool, stitch that line. I'm going to continue this line here. I should have just made it longer. Like that. Be careful, don't follow the interior line here. We're going to go on the shadow, remember? The outside of this flat. And let me go in and fine tune this. Oops. Empty space. Every once in a while you gotta click on empty space there. All right. Close enough, right? This is what happens when I drink caffeine. I start obsessing like this. That's why I don't drink caffeine. Okay, so make sure the line is on the complete outside, the selection tool, Alt copy, right? something like this. We'll make this a little bit, a 2-point thickness there. Hide my crimes. And then you'll do the other details like I showed you earlier, right? And I'm not going to do the pants because I know that, but I will do these this button right here. So I have all this space here. I want you to zoom in. And so some people like to do this. They'll draw the button large. And then what'll happen is, like, if I were to draw a large button, right? And then, like, I can just draw it large and shrink it, right? So let's take a look at it, shall we? That's what happens when you draw it large and you shrink it. Can't see it. So I'm going to draw it small. The reason why you can't see it is because your stroke width was at 2 points. And when you zoom down here, you know, this is like, so watch this. Let's try to make a circle with a 2-point stroke width. You know, it's too big. Right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my stroke width down to like 0.5, maybe 0.75. That looks pretty good. Hold the shift key down to make it round. Right, now I need to make these 4 little dots here. I'm going to zoom way in, and I'm going to make 4 circles here. And you see, I can't get them small. I can't get them super small. I mean, kinda. Did I do that? Right. The easier thing to do here is just to give it like a fill, and then take off the stroke. Then you have like you have more space. So this is the same circle here, and my outline is 0. But my fill is blue. And then remember that copy paste trick I showed you? Once you have your selection tool out, you see this little postage stamp symbol, hold the Alt key or Option key if you have a Mac, and click and drag out, and then you can just instantly copy. Otherwise, you have to go Control C and Control V, and then it pastes another one. Control V, Control V. You can do it that way too. I like doing it the other way. All right. And now I need this little rectangle thing. I've never figured out how to quite do this. All right, so we'll say no stroke outline. We'll give it a fill here. And so there's my button. So if I were to grab my selection tool and grab this whole thing and say group, object group, here's my button. We'll call this button. Once it's grouped here, it doesn't matter what piece you grab, it'll just always move together. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to hold my Alt key down and just, oops. You can copy, or you can just hit Control C and Control V and Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. You know, you can grab all these buttons and copy them. Alt, Alt. Grab all these and copy those. Alt. Lots of buttons here. Okay, that's enough. Enough buttons. You get the point, right? Right, and then you're going to make a little button over here and your outline. Right, so that's it. So once you finish all this, we're going to save it. First, we save our Illustrator file. Right, we're going to save it into our folder. So I'll call this Illustrator Friday. Just hit OK when you're hitting save. So now we know it's all saved. We see our name here. We see no asterisk symbol. You see, if I were to draw anything on my artboard, a little asterisk symbol will appear, and that means you've done work. Excuse me, you've done work and you haven't saved it yet. That's what that star means. And then once you save it, oops. I'll hit save here. Save, then the asterisk goes away. So now this is for your own copy, so you can get your little stitches and zippers, and you can edit things in the future. Once you're done with that, we're going to convert it to a PDF. Here's how you do the PDF conversion. File, Save As. Down here it says Illustrator. We're going to go to Adobe PDF, right here. Then we need to find the PDF folder in our tech folder, right? So PDF, and then I'll save my homework Friday. And then we're going to have some options. So this is where the compression comes in. You see right here where it says preserve editing capabilities. We don't need to preserve our editing capabilities this semester. You might want to do that in the future, but right now we don't, because when you turn this on, your file gets gigantic. And it'll be like 20, 30 megabytes. And if it's over 20 megabytes, I don't grade it. It has to be under 20 megabytes. If we do this right, it'll just be around 1 megabyte. Right? So in order to turn this off, I'm going to go over here to my preset, and these are all the presets for Adobe, saving Adobe. We're not doing high quality prints. I'm going to show you how to create a high quality print, but with a small size. So first you select smallest file size, and that turns off this editing capabilities, because we have our master Illustrator file saved. So we don't need to have this editing capability enabled in our PDF. So again, preset, so number 1, preset, smallest file size. Number 2, check this is turned off, illustrating editing capabilities. Step 3, go to compression here. And don't worry about all this except for image quality. It says low here. We're going to go to high. Here and here, image quality high in both those two areas. And that's how we get a highly compressed, very small file with high image quality. Output here, you say no conversion. This output is in case your file is being sent to another country and you don't want whatever colors you have for your design converted to whatever what their version of red or pink is. It may not be the same as your version, so we'll say no conversion. Then we'll save our PDF, and it's going to ask you a warning. You unchecked preserve editing capabilities. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure, because I have my master file, right? So now to upload this, oops, why is Cura open? All right, to upload this, we're going to go over here to Classwork 2, and you'll click it. And it says upload your homework, which is tracing one of these accessories, plus your in-class work. So I'm going to go to browse my computer, and I'm going to look into my Fashion Tech folder, into my PDF folder, and there is my Friday Illustrator work, and I will attach it, right? And then we need a second file, which is our homework here, which this is from our lab Spark folder. It's just a little review, raster, vector, and I did the demo here, Pentool, anchor point selection, all this, we did all that. And then this is the homework. You're going to take a photo and embed it into the artboard, and we're going to trace belt, hat, glasses, purse, shoe, and include the brand, materials, and price point. So let me show you how to do that. So in Illustrator here, we're going to go new artboard. We'll call this one your last name and accessories. And you can do it in portrait or landscape, either one. I'll go portrait today. In inches, make sure your units are on inches. Hit create. And I need you to go and find some pictures. Now, for research, they want you to go to WGSN. And let me just quickly show you how to find WGSN. So this is the Spark. Right now, I'm in course content. We'll go to lab folder. And there's a Spark presentation for Illustrator right here. When I click on that, this is where I just was. Here's our homework. And here is the WGSN link. When you click here, it takes you to the Kent State Library database page. You can go to the search engine and type in Kent State Library database, and hopefully you'll come to, it's under the University Library link from the main page. And you go to, they have all of these portals to different websites that cost a lot of money. Like I said before, the WGSN is it's right down here, World Global Style Network. This costs like $10,000 a month. Okay, you guys as Kent State students, you have access to this website. It's some ridiculous price like that. This is what like fashion magazines use when they're doing their trend or fashion trend research. And you can read along the same information as they read, and then it's kind of interesting to see. If you click here, you go to it. You can't just go to wgsn.com because you need a membership. But Kent State has a membership. Okay, excuse me. Oh my God. Caffeine. All right, so I'm in. This will take me to WGSN's website, and you can watch New York Fashion Week, Mercedes Fashion Week live here on this website. You see all the stuff that the industry people are seeing. And then if you go over here to research, you can see all the future trends. So in 2023, when you're standing in line at the checkout counter and you look over at InStyle magazine, you're going to start seeing a lot of these ideas that they're talking about. For 2023 seems to be about innovations, and 2022 is about post-COVID, I think. So you see lots of different design research. There's a category here called accessories, and you can go in here for inspiration as to how a lot of this stuff is displayed professionally. You can get some ideas of how the layout looks. But ultimately, what I want you to do for your homework is, like I said here, one belt, one hat, shoe, glasses. So if I were to go and type in, into Google here, Wayfarers, and you get, this is what the Google search would look like. If I want images, I click on this image tab right here. If I want large images, I'll go to Tools and say Size, Large. And then we'll find like a picture that I don't mind tracing, right? And you can save this to your image folder. We go right-click and we save the image. You can navigate over to our Fashion Tech image folder. Or you can just right-click on this and say copy image. Sometimes they disable that. They don't allow you to copy it. If I copy it, though, I could probably just paste it right in here. Otherwise, what you have to do is you got to go over here to File in Illustrator here. You don't want to drag it from your desktop, even though it does work, because then you have to embed the picture. And then to embed the picture, to get rid of that black X, you have to hit the embed button. I'll show you that later. But right now, the correct way to do it is open, navigate to your folder here, and then click on the picture. It'll open in a separate tab. We can just copy and paste it over here, or we can just drag it like that. I want to resize this again. I'm going to hold the Shift key down when I resize it. And I'm going to trace it with my pen tool. So I'm going to reduce the opacity here to like 50%. Once you have your selection tool enabled, you click on the picture. These properties will appear. If it says embed and there's an X through it, you have to hit that. Right? I already did that, so it's fine. Reduce my opacity 50%. I'm going to go to my layer panel. Here's my image layer. I'm going to hit the padlock button. It's right next to the eyeball. Now the image doesn't move, and I can start my tracing. So zoom in here, you grab your pen tool, and start tracing with your line here. You'll see my space here. I'm not tracing with any color. want to use black. I'm going to say no fill, right? And get that traced out. It's really just more tracing exercises. So, you know, don't sabotage yourself with something too difficult. You know, find some simple jewelry. You're going to spend more time tracing than this, of course. Whoops. Here's what happened. Check this out. So when I clicked this endpoint here, I accidentally clicked and dragged, and I created a little handle here. I didn't want a handle there. So I'm going to grab it with my direct select tool, and I'm just going to stick it back in the anchor. And then you can get rid of that handle. And I'm going to go and put my curve right here. Another curve right there. Again, I can go in and fix this with my direct select tool. I've got some wonky stuff happening here. This is why you need edges showing. All right, I'm not going to mess around with this too much. So here's my interior lens. How am I doing on time? Running out of time here. All right, I'm pretending like I did this right. All right, so there we have this. You can like take this glasses and give it like a black fill if you want. And then where's my lens? I lost it. So I can go to my layer panel and select my little lens layer. And I can give it like a different color fill. If you want to get fancy, you can add like a gradient. There's gradients here. You know, however you want to do it. And I'll talk about gradients later in greater detail. But you know, here's your picture. Then you'll take your text tool here and you'll just type out Wayfarers, and then once you grab your selection tool, you can move this around. You can scale it. Hold the Shift key down if you want to make it bigger. You want to. I'm not going to get into that. Okay, so here, your item name. There you go. Polycarbonate. Material that it's made of. Now I want to change the shape, the font here. I can highlight this and I can increase the font size here, or I can press the selection tool and just, you know, drag it. And then I need a price, you know, it's about 150 bucks. I think that's it, right? Brand, material, price. Yeah, belt, hat, glasses, purse, shoe, and that's it for your homework. You'll do that for your glasses, your belt, your hat. So I need to see the picture, the tracing, and then the information. Then we're going to save this. We'll save our master file in our Illustrator, Han Accessories. Save that, hit OK. Then we got to create a PDF, save as. You click on this preset here, Adobe PDF, and then we go to our PDF folder, save it. Now there are those 5 things we got to change. First, the preset, smallest file size. 2, check the editor capabilities is turned off. 3, compression, image quality high. 4, image quality high, again, and then 5 is output, say no conversion. We'll save that. Then when it comes time to hand all this in, we'll go to our lab folder. We'll go to Illustrator. And then here, these 2 files here. So we'll go to Browse My Computer. And I'm going to go to my PDF folder. And here's my in-class work. And here, right there. Then I'm going to browse my computer again. And we'll do our accessories work. These 2 files. And then here you type in a joke if you want to put me in a good mood before I grade your work. Couldn't hurt, you know. I have been known to be more lenient if I'm laughing a lot. Or if you live out of state, you know a great pizza place, go ahead and put that right there. I appreciate it. Then hit submit, and then you're done. You're done until Sunday, quiz day. All right, that's it. I think if anyone has any questions, now is the time to ask. If not, class is over.
You're gonna post this recording, right?
Yeah, so it takes
Okay.
about 15 minutes to process. And again, to find the recording, again, you know, all you got to do is you go to right here, Blackboard Collaborate, and then there are these 3 little lines right here. You click on that, and then you'll see under recordings here, you'll see it'll say David Hahn Friday. But it takes, this is a 2.5 hour recording, so it takes a little while for it to process. Check back, like, you know, go out, eat lunch, come back, it'll be ready.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anybody else have a question before I leave? Concern? Project? You should, for your project, have 4 artboards. Should be saved with your name on it. You should have the photographs of your clothing put into the artboard. That's it. You don't have to do any tracing.
Have a nice weekend.
You too. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
No problem. Bye-bye.